I promise you, by the end of today's video, you'll know how to sound more native in English by being lazy. Let's get started. Hello everybody, this is Gavin and welcome back to my channel. Now speaking of being lazy, I think no one would deny the laziest sound in English is probably the vowel But what you don't know about it is that it also the most common and the most important sound. Some say around 30 to 35% of everything we talk about in our day-to-day conversation is this one sound. And in fact, it's so common that it even has its own name. Schwa. The schwa sound. And there are two things I want you to remember about the schwa sound. First, it's very relaxed. And second, it's very relaxed, okay? I just can't emphasize this point enough, and you'll know why in a moment. You don't want to apply any strength here. You don't want to go, no. It's effortless. You just sit here and do nothing, go, what a beautiful world, what a beautiful day. You're an idiot. And that's the kind of we're talking about here, okay? Being lazy is key here. And just because it's lazy, we tend to use this sound to replace other sounds when we don't feel like pronouncing them, because we're lazy. And that's exactly where 30 and 35% comes from. The schwa sound abounds in the weak forms of those function words or unstressed words. They're everywhere, basically. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, what function words, what weak forms, what schwa sound, then probably you should go and watch my first video right here. It will help you better connect the dots. But I know you didn't, right? Well, because you're lazy. Well, I guess I can't blame you, because this video, after all, is made for lazy people like you and me. So let's just move on and take a look at the first application of the schwa sound. Now, when I was a primary school student, I would probably read it like, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? Doesn't that ring a bell? However, native speakers tend to say it like, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? See, it's vastly different. So what's going on here? They didn't even say for me. They replaced all with the schwa sound. So it was for me. For me. And it was not even can you, it was can you, can you, can you. So they replaced all the vowels with the schwa sound. I know, you must be wondering, how can you do this? It all comes down to knowing what you're saying, and that's very important. Because, you see, you're asking someone for a favour, obviously, in this case. So, whoever you're talking to must understand you are asking for this favour. And that's why, for me here, it's not that important. On the other hand, do, the real verb here, is the key message. And that's why you want to stress this word. For me, it's not that important, unless you're trying to emphasise that you're doing this for me, not for Gavin. Then, okay, then you probably want to stress the word me, but you will never stress the word for. For, as a preposition, is largely a function word, and that's why we don't stress it very often. And as for can you, well, we all know that's a normal way for you to start your question. So, as long as you put something there, something like can you, we all know, okay, you're asking a question, and that's it. It's enough, more than enough. You don't have to say, can you? That wastes a lot of time. And that's why we all use the weak forms of those function words, the likes of can, you, and for. Now, let's take a look at the second example, a very similar one. Again, the way I was taught back in primary school was probably something like, what did you do for Christmas? Oh, isn't that lovely? But native speakers tend to say it more like, what did you do for Christmas? What did you do for Christmas? Again, for here is the function word. We reduce it to f. And the first do in the form of did here is a so-called auxiliary verb, a typical function word. We also tend to, just unstress it. The real verb, again, is do. what did you do? Now, with all the keywords or the content words identified, you know what to do. You stress those keywords and leave all the rest unstressed. What did you do for Christmas? What did you do for Christmas? You see, that's how you produce stresses in English. You don't just force or push those stress words. Of course you do, you apply certain strength, but more importantly, you need to leave everything else unstressed. What did you do for Christmas? You leave those unimportant words, unimportant stuff unstressed and combine them together perhaps. What did you? It's not did you. It's not did you, but did you. Did you. Now, in some circumstances where do, the real verb back there, becomes a function word, then what we're going to do, we reduce it to d. Again, replace oo with a schwa sound. Like, do you like watching video? Do you like watching Gavin's video? I know you do, but the thing here is, it's not do you like, but do you like watching Gavin's video? You see, we first reduce the do to d. Do you like watching videos? Watching video, obviously, are the more important information here. But what's more important is that while we're at it, we realize, okay, we're using the weak forms of those do and you, then something just occurred to us. Why don't we just combine them together? That's more interesting. So instead of saying do you or do you, it becomes j. So one syllable for two words. Do you like watching my video? Do you like watching my video? Another very common weak form is that for and. You see, that for and, not for and, for and. Anyway, here we don't usually say fish and chips. No. Fish and chips. Fish and chips. Just n. The and has been reduced to n, or even just one letter, n. Fish and chips. Pretty much like black and white, ups and downs, you and me, all the way through. So all you have to do here is to get more exposure. I don't care if you listen to podcasts or you watch TV series. Anyway, you just get more exposure, listen to how native speakers say these things, and that's how you improve. Next, let's look at the phrase have to, as in, I have to do it. I have to do something. I have to give you a thumbs up for this great video, for example. Now, for those of you who were too lazy to click on the button and watch my first video out there just now, I had one example in that video. The dogs have been chasing the cat, where have been, the dogs have been, was reduced to have been. You see, I replaced a in have with the schwa sound. Have been, not have been. And that's why I don't want to spend too much time on the word have here. In have to do something, we reduce not the have, but the to. I have to do it. As you can tell, again, we use the schwa sound to replace oo. I have to do something. Have to do something. Here, it's very important not to, overdo it, because when we learn a new trick, what happens is we tend to get overexcited, and we tend to say, I have to do it, No. Remember, we never push the schwa sound. Now, when you push it, it kind of defeats the purpose, because you use the schwa sound in order to rush through those function words more quickly. Now, instead, you stress them, and that's exactly what you don't want in the first place. So, just keep it nice and light. Don't push it, don't overdo it. And also, as for the word have, we tend to soften the voiced consonant at the end. We don't say have, but have instead. Change that to a voiceless consonant. Have. I have to do something. Have to do something. That's much easier. Those are some of the examples I'd like to share with you on weak forms. And I know many of you will be like, okay, that's all well and good, but I like to learn American accent, not British accent. Do these things still apply? Well, that's a valid question. But but I can tell you, what I say, what I share in this channel, generally holds true for most accents in the world. And I do recognize American accents is a bit different. For example, we say water instead of water. We say better instead of better. So it's true, we don't use the schwa sound as often as, say, the British people. But that doesn't mean schwa sound isn't important for us. It's still one of the most important sounds in American accent. Because at the end of the day, we're all human, right? We're all human, and we're all lazy. And what happens when we're lazy, we want to replace stuff we don't really want to say with the easiest sound, which is the schwa sound. So don't you worry. There you have it, the secret to weak forms in English. You see, the secret to weak forms, not two weak forms in English. Well, these schwa sounds, these weak forms of function words are just everywhere, so you have to be attentive, be more attentive to these details, and also to get more exposure. Like I said, you can watch more TV shows, you can listen to more podcasts, what have you. Just the whole point is to see those native speakers in action, and that way your English, your not just pronunciation, but also your listening will be improved massively. And lastly, anything else to say? Don't forget the two things I want you to remember: to be relaxed, don't push it, never push the schwa sound. And also, don't forget to watch my first video on English being a stress time language. So if today's video is more about providing a solution, then that video was about the issue, the problem. So if you just get the solution without a problem in mind, then you don't know what to do with it. So that's why I strongly recommend you watching that video. Not for me, not for me, but for you, not for you. See, well, I have to stop right here. Otherwise, this video is not going to end. These schwa sounds are just everywhere. Anyway, just don't forget to subscribe and 一键三连 if you haven't already. And I guess I'll see you in my next video.